So the whole plan with this is just try to pitch to you what we do and how we do it. First and foremost, my name is Daniel Gustafsson. I am in a bit of a limbo in terms of my role. I'm going to switch role in 2018. I had a responsibility before the first 3 years regarding our compliance and our compliance team and our compliance customers, meaning customers with high regulatory demands that want to use infrastructure as a service, but they can't do it on the general terms, and you have to have a direct agreement. And all of the companies who basically been told they can't use cloud services, those are our primary focus in the group I used to run. Stepping into next year, I will have a different role, which is called a business culture officer. And the reason for it is because we have a demand not only from our customers, but internally as well, since we are now switching our focus from being a consumer company to an enterprise company. With that comes a lot of responsibilities. We have to follow laws, directives. We have direct contracts that states what we can and can't do. So our staff becomes extremely important in our compliance and our business culture. And since you're going to meet Kim later on as well, who's going to talk more about our security work and what we do. But the whole reason why we're doing this is because from day one, when you step in this office or wherever you might work for us, you need to understand the business culture which within you have to work in order to match the profile of our customers. We're now working with banks, we're working with insurance companies, we're working with automotive industry, and what have you. And it's a huge difference from the consumer market and working with that. So my role will be to try to instill the reason why we do what we do. And my role tonight is to try to explain what City Network does and why we do it. Whenever you're going to make a decision in life, especially as one as important as when you are looking for a new job or whatever you're doing in life, you need to have a reason why. And the paycheck can never be the reason. Because even though you get a great paycheck, 3 years down the line, you're still going to be bored with a great paycheck. You need to establish why you do what you do. And you should look for an employer who can tell you why they do what they do. And you should always go from the terms why, how, and what. Normally when we make a decision, we start with the what, and then we go to the how and maybe the why. And I stole this. This is from Simon Sinek, which is a bit of a hero of mine in terms of not only leadership, but also business culture. You might have heard of him. He's widely known. And this is his model, so I'm not going to take credit for this one. But I believe in this model. I believe in it wholeheartedly. City Network's why is simple. We have a clear why we go to work every day, because that's your why. Why do you even bother to get out of bed and go to work? As I said, it can't be the paycheck alone. It has to be something else, something that drives you, something that has a common denominator between you and your employer and the people you work with. In our case, is that we want to enable innovation for our customers, and that is in terms that we want to provide an infrastructure, an open infrastructure. We believe in open source. We are an open source company. We also believe that our company should be able to provide an IT infrastructure for any type of customer, any type of industry, no matter who they are. They should be able to run on open, flexible IT infrastructure. Because the market today is simple. If you can't change fast enough, you're going to get left behind. If you can't run in an open infrastructure, meaning that you can use multiple services at the same time, you're going to be left behind. Too many services today are locked in. They're not vendor neutral. They're locked in. You're locked into either a provider or a product or whatever it might be. Our core belief is open source. That's the reason why we do what we do. And why our staff goes to work every day is to provide a platform for our customers to be able to innovate their industry on an open IT infrastructure. Our how is our unique selling points, meaning what do we do? In our case, we see ourselves like this. We see ourselves, as I said, as an open provider of IT infrastructure. You should be able to pick the goodie bag that you want as a customer, and you should be able to have those products, providers, whatever it might be, to work together. We are not in competition with Amazon. Really, we're not. We're not going to put Google out of business anytime soon. We have to be able to work together with those services, because even though we have multiple data centers around the world where we provide, in our case, infrastructure as a service, we also understand that our customers have needs which we can't fulfill. But maybe another provider, such as Microsoft, such as Google, or whoever it might be, they have a great product which they can combine with us. That's the world moving forward. Anyone who believes that one provider can fit all the needs for a complete delivery of an IT infrastructure in 2025 is fooling themselves, because we can't do it today. It was true 10, 15 years ago, but the world has changed, and it's changed drastic and really rapidly. We believe in compliance. As I said, I ran a business team called Compliant Cloud, focusing on compliance. No matter who you are, you should be able to have your application compliant within our infrastructure. Compliance is super important. GDPR, heard of it? General Data Protection Regulation, coming 2018, puts an enormous stress on personal identifiable data. EU directives, such as Solvens, Basel for insurance companies and banks, they have to be able to fit into the role as well. So compliance is really, and security, which Kim is going to talk about, is really what has now put us on the map. We have now switched into become a security provider of IT infrastructure. In that order, coming back to the business culture, coming back to the importance of understanding who we deliver our services to. And the last thing that we see as our how and our unique selling point is that we see the entire world as software defined. You might have heard of software defined networks and so on. We see it as software defined anything and everything. No matter what it is, if it is your network, if it is your servers, whatever it might be, we see it as a software defined world. That's the way we're heading. And that's what we're striving to provide in order to have our customers and our employees satisfied and happy. Because if you move to a virtual world, everything needs to be able to be virtual. And lastly, our what? I mentioned it before. We provide infrastructure as a service. We believe in open source. Currently, we truly, really believe in OpenStack. Everything we build today, every data center, every environment is based on OpenStack. That's our flavor of choice right now, which we really like, really love, and have invested heavily in. Currently, we have our CEO as a board member on the OpenStack Foundation, for instance. The reason why we have him there is because we want to be able to put our input into the community. And every open source community needs leadership and it needs drive. You can't just take from an open source community. You have to invest into it. You have to put in time. We have one of our colleagues, Tobias Rydberg, who is currently the co-chair of the IAS division, right? Yeah. Within OpenStack. So we're heavily involved in the community in order to make it to move forward. That also means this little company in Karlskrona, Sweden, can actually move and influence a community as large as OpenStack. With that being said, we believe in any type of open source community. So OpenStack is our flavor right now, which we really like. And we're also a gold member in the, I forgot to say, we're actually a gold member in the community as well. Meaning we are not only a board member, we're actually heavily involved with the OpenStack community in general. But with that being said, the next great open source project that comes along will probably, if it suits our needs, something that we will invest in. So if you are an open source person and you believe in that type of infrastructure and that type of deliveries and whatever and everything that an open source community stands for, the City Network is a pretty darn good place to be at. So what I actually want to, just to finish off, I'm going to take this quite quickly because the other guys are more important to talk about what we do in terms of our company. But I want to challenge you a little bit. When you go home tonight, sit down and think about your why and see if you can clearly define why you go to work. And if your why is matching our why, And I think it's a great, great opportunity for you to actually look into one of the open places that we have. And if it suits, and if it works, you might be one of our new employees. And if so, I look forward to it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so time to drink. Okay, so my name is Tony Hallén. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources, among other things. We're a small company, so we keep changing hats all the times. From one day I'm QA and one day I'm HR, so it varies a lot. And that's the terrific thing about being a small, agile, and entrepreneurial company. Would like to give you a little bit of word of how it is to be working at City, at least from my perspective. So, here we work together with others. And if we do so, that means we connect in some form, some way we connect. Either we connect tight or we have remotees connecting in their ways, because we have. Yeah, so it could be teams, but it could be also remote teams or indoor teams here. And when you do that, you should be aware of what's happening with your relations together with other people. So this is a super quick journey of how team works. And first, there is one nice face here. It's called something else, but let's call it nice, because this is nice. You meet new people, you say hi, you have a beer, and you smile on your face, and everything is great. Yeah, that face is, you cannot ignore it. It's just there. It's also here where you decide, will I be in or out? Do I like or don't like? So, nice is the first phase. That's great. Okay. What happens then? Well, as you move on, you come into a not so really nice phase, maybe. Maybe for Eric, I don't know. But for some of us other guys, that's not so nice phase. Because it can mean the feelings of conflicts. Need to take care of relations. Oh shit, that hurts. Especially like if you are married or have a girl or boyfriend, maybe you probably recognize this phase. Way down here. Okay, so if things go smoothly and right, we go up to the we phase. And here is the terrific part, because here are the two phases where you actually want to work forever. And you really feel enjoyable by being there. So, and this is our goal, is that we shall have every one of our teams here. And okay, it's just like stepping through all these phases and getting there. And no, it's not. Because you need to be aware of what's happening and what's the demands on yourself as an employee or a teammate. For getting through this phase, you need actually to have some courage. You need to be courage enough to say what you think and say what you feel, the targets you have, who you like or don't like, or whatever it is. And that takes some guts. It also takes a huge amount of respect and acceptance to get through the other phases. So, just a hint, if we sit down in an interview in the future, those words might be good to know, because these are really important for us. So, staff at City, they take care of conflicts. Yeah, that's a smile on a face. It's not every day a joyful day, but when you get rid of them and when you take care of them, then we take a beer in the bar, having fun. Okay, we build relations, even though we don't want to, because we need to. We would like to take and give feedback to each other, even if it's like developed feedback, like this is gonna hurt, or if it's positive. And also be aware of that it might hurt to grow as a human being, which you probably will if you will join us. So our recruitment process starts up with a question. Lasse, which animal would you identify yourself with?
Well, I said wolf to you.
Yeah, you did. And is that the right answer? Yeah, it is. For Lasse, it is. And why? Well, think out of the box a moment. We are not really interested in competence. We're not really interested in, not only, we're interested in you as a human being. What drives you? What's your moral? What's your fundamental values? How can we connect on those? And see if we can join in on what Daniel said. Can we find a why in there somewhere? So we have some open places right now. This is also to read on our career site. There are some student projects where we intend to hit off. So you can apply to those. Also, there is an open place at account manager right now. There will be more to come. We don't have the time just to prepare them all and take care of all the incoming. So keep a watch out of the new appointments. There's also some network architects, system engineer OpenStack, Linux automation. If you find that really, oh, this is me, then whoops, you know where to find them. Encourage you to put a few words down on a paper and send in your resumes. Yeah. So, thank you. Kim.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Kim Hindart, and I'm Chief of Security here at City Network. I was involved a bit in contributing code to OpenStack before I started here at City Network, some bit over 3 years ago right now. And I have a developer background, so I thought, okay, City Network is doing OpenStack. Awesome, I get to code a bit for OpenStack again. And then when I was freshly recruited here into the City Network, my nice period at City ended abruptly because they asked, we want to take an ISO certification for information security. Anyone here knows anything about information security? And I raised my hand. That's obviously a rookie mistake. All of a sudden, your chief security officer, you're handling insurance companies and banks. Good luck and goodbye. So I usually say I had to go and call my ex-girlfriend because I usually tell people she was the biggest mistake of my life. But actually raising my hand that day and becoming chief security officer trumps that, so I have to go and apologize now. Our CEO usually says, okay, Kim, your life is not over because you're head of security, just the fun part of it. Anyway, by the way, this is being live streamed. Is it actually recorded as well, so I have some burden of proof left? Okay, shit, this is going to be a short session. Anyway, the security. Well, we've talked a lot about the companies. This journey started 3 years ago when a lawyer standing at the IT seminar actually said this, it's impossible for highly regulated entities like governments or banks to use cloud services. She actually said right out it's flat impossible. And then we say challenge accepted. We don't accept this. Of course it's possible. We will make it possible. So the traditional IT, well, you have some parts virtualized, but it's usually just hosts. The rest is very, very much physical networking. What happens when you switch to completely programmable, virtualized infrastructure? This is the journey. All of a sudden, everything is programmable. Everything is your application. Your code is actually your documentation. You don't need this like any people always nagging you about document, document, document. No, but in this actual sense, your code is your documentation. That's crazy because the wet dream of all developers are actually coming true. But how do you combine this with checklists and verification lists that are made for something in the 90s? This is where the big innovation comes in. Because everything in a digital world comes down to these three big things. These three things are the things, and we provide them as a service of use them per second base, and then don't use them if you don't want to. This is not unique. This is what every cloud provider does. This is pretty much what every hosting provider does as well, in some sense. So you need this as a base for all things digital. What we want to do is the groundbreaking part of actually encapsulating this with this huge security framework. The mission here is not, of course, the security framework by itself. That's necessary. That's actually something we tend to do for our own sake. And I will talk a bit by doing security for our own sake. That's not the idea we want to hear. We do security because we think security is important. We do think that information is actually matters. It can hurt people. We don't want to hurt people. That's why we protect the security. The trick is with this is how do you combine this and still maintain agility, still maintain flexibility, still maintain usability? Because the goals with security is always, always, always usability, agility, flexibility. Of course, keeping things actually secure, but the important part as well, compliance. We need to survive the checklist because the guys from the financial authorities, the data protection authorities, it's not lawyers, it's not techie people who come and check you. It's bureaucrats. You need to be agile, have agility and flexibility and innovation in a highly compliant red tape world. This is not something many do. This is what sets you apart. This is actually breaking the paper ceilings. This is what we want to do. Well, how do we start to get it to this area actually? I usually do a few tests at companies. One is called the Kexchoklad test. This is chocolate test. I go to employees at a company. I've done it a lot in different companies. And I tell people, if you give me your password to your computer, I will give you a piece of chocolate. I have never failed getting actual passwords to actual computers. This is something you need to harden away, but it's not hardening in a tech sense. You need to harden it in our minds. This is something we need to practice. This is not something we need to face. This is something we need to be aware of. It's the people that will solve the compliance. The techie part, that's the innovation from the people. If you get good thinking people, then you can start to innovate and break these feelings. When you ask an survey question, why should you wear a seatbelt when you travel in your car? In Sweden, by awesome majority, the most top answer is, if the police sees me without a seatbelt, I get fined. That's the most common answer in Sweden. Compared to Finland, who say, I don't want to be injured or die if I'm in an accident. One is awareness, one is understanding, and one is rule-based. We want to change from rules to leadership. We want to change from rule-based security to culture-based security, because this is how you can innovate. All the compliance are based on rules. You should have a policy, you should have demands, you should put things in place. Yeah, for sure, to survive the checklist. How do you combine this and still be innovative, still be creative? It's hard. Of course, it's damn hard. Otherwise, everyone would do it. But that's the challenge. That's the idea. That's the challenge accepted. Who here knows who Edgar Mitchell is? Who have heard of him? Edgar Mitchell is the sixth man to walk on the moon. And any given day, of course, it's pretty awesome to meet a guy who walked on the moon. But compared to that name, that I think perhaps more have heard of than Edgar Mitchell, it's always awesome to be first. This is what we try to do with the security at City Network. So, if you give me your creativity and innovation, I promise I will try and give you the culture and leadership for you to thrive. So you can be the Neil Armstrong of the cloud security. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, let's look at, we've learned about our vision and where we're going with security and the roles we're looking for. I'm going to talk about who we are as people and what we do at City. Basically, what I'm guessing you want to know is what's in it for you as well. That's an important question. What do you get? There's a new saying as of like an hour ago. Out of the 8,760 hours in a year, we say that 20% is fun time and 80% is free time. So let's look at some of the ways that we can make that 20% actual fun. What you get as an employee at City Network is that you're part of an open-minded company where you are free to develop in the areas that you find exciting. That's a huge part of City Network. And the areas that you find exciting or interesting, you get to travel, experience new cultures, perhaps learn a new language or two, and meet some cool people. That's a big part of City Network. You get to talk and speak and share your ideas at different events and occasions, and that's something that we really encourage you to do. Most and foremost, you get to spend time with your awesome colleagues, and that's the most important part, of course. One other really important thing is that you get to be part of an all-hands-on-deck mentality that we have at City Network. That's something that's embedded in these walls and has been from the very beginning. When something happens, and when the going gets tough, as they say, you can always bet on your colleagues having your back. And that's also a really important thing. And that also includes everyone. Some people know, but not everybody might know that this is our CEO. He's included, of course. We're that type of company. We're really engaged in what we do and whatever we do at City Network and around City Network, and we want to drive change and inspire others together. And one of the ways that we do that is that we not only go to events here and there and introduce ourselves and do it for the heck of it. We create our own scene. We create our own events, for instance, and other things. So it's important for us for any idea that anybody has at the company is heard. And if you have a new take on something or just a new cool idea that you want to try out, we'll make sure to make it happen. We'll try to make it happen, at least. And of course, you'll get credit for it. That's also an important thing. Credit where credit is due. So what we do is we actually pack our stuff and we go about and do stuff. This is from a breakfast seminar that we did together with a partner, Red Hat, where we had a speaker, the former CIO of Folksam, for instance. We initiated the biggest OpenStack event in the Nordics. This was from Stockholm last year, and we did it again in Copenhagen this year. A couple of great examples of how ideas from not the marketing team has developed into something that we've done for the benefit of our employees and the communities that we are a part of is, for instance, Cloud Beer. Cloud Beer is basically an open mic night where we invite different types of speakers. It doesn't really matter if it's competitors or whatever. We just want to talk cloud computing. It was by a request from our tech department that they actually wanted to meet with other tech people from other companies, both here and in Stockholm, so we ran with it. We just made an event out of it. Hugely appreciated, and it's an ongoing event. This, what we're doing right here, is also an idea that came not from the marketing department, and how we solve a challenge that we have. We want to get new talent into the company, and ads are ads. We could always do that, but this was a new take on it. Invite you here, bribe you with some pizza, and try to introduce ourselves properly and really get to know each other. And, you know, that's the best way, we believe. Yeah, other examples. Security GDPR is a hugely important thing for us, as you understand from Kim's presentation. And we wanted to discuss GDPR. How do we do that? Do we blog? Do we this? Do we that? We launched a podcast, hugely successful podcast. It's in Swedish, so unfortunately not everybody can listen to it, but we continue on doing it, discussing GDPR and learning stuff ourselves, teaching, and, you know, having that discussion and being in that community, security community. What else do you get? We're part of different networks, such as Telecom City. We go visit companies in our neighborhood in Karlskrona. Karlskrona itself is really important to us. It's our hometown. We've been here since forever, of course, and it's important for us to meet with all the companies around us, to get inspired and inspire others, and to make sure that Karlskrona itself also grows. That's an important thing for this company. Entrepreneurship, helping each other out. Yeah, no comments. Yeah, one other big part is that you get to be a part of an organization which is really transparent. And the way that we sort of portray that is through strategic workshops. We do that every year, and it's not only for the management team or leadership teams, it's for everyone, and it's not optional, it's mandatory, because we want every voice to be heard in how this company moves forward, what we are supposed to do, what we're not supposed to do, and how we're doing. That's a really important part. Monthly meetings, the same thing. Everybody knows all the figures, how we're doing, what's happening, and what's on the horizon. That's hugely important for us. You're not sitting in your cubicle. There are no cubicles. You're not sitting there and just doing your own little part of the big machinery. You're a part of the machinery, and that's important. Team building, of course. They are scheduled. They have a budget. That's something that we invest in. I would say most of the time this is us, but this is also us. And sometimes this is us. And whether or not you're the guy in the suit in the middle of winter, or if you're the guy wearing shorts, we accept you for who you are. That's really important to know. We'll let you know when you've failed, just to make it clear, this is my fail medal. I'm not going to single anybody out except myself. But of course, we will praise each other when we've done good, when we succeed, because ultimately we will work hard and play hard together as a team. Right, so that's sort of the soft parts around it, right? What do you get? But more importantly, what do you get in hand? What are the perks? Let's take a look at that. The wellness aspect, of course. You have access to gyms and whatnot, or if you're like most people, you'll be a good supportive member of your local gym, right? You pay that fee every year, you go once or twice. No, all kidding aside. Breakfast. Every Friday, we gather for breakfast. We're going to have a tough time fitting everybody now, but that's a good problem to have. More breakfast. And these have actually evolved over time. These days, we have cooked-to-order scrambled eggs. We used to have just, some bread and cheese, but, it's evolving. Every once in a while, you get a Christmas present. No joke, this actually happened.
You get where I'm going with this. We compiled a list of perks, and that's not unusual to have perks. I just wanted to address a few. For instance, it says ice hockey here. We have our own VIP booth in the arena, so we can go and watch the hockey games. That's a cool perk to have, right? We're involved in FK Karlskrona with soccer. We also have the ability to go to those games. Team building activities I mentioned. Coffee. Has anybody thought of how important coffee is? One of the things that struck me was you wouldn't even believe the email threads that can go through, you know, just to decide which coffee machines and which sort of coffee you should have. It's amazing, but it's important, and we try to fulfill every need, if possible. With coffee comes fika, Swedish fika. So we have fika, and we have more fika. Every Wednesday, 3 a.m. sharp, you hear from the stairs, bum, 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 and people are there for their 3 o'clock fika. More fika, and you know, you better believe it, we're going to keep you fed. These are, I would say, these are internationally recognized fika opportunities, at least here in Sweden. Some of the ones that we're going to investigate are, what is it, Popcorn Day? International Popcorn Day, right over here. We're going to investigate Nutella Day. That's going to be fun. There are some others that we have a list for it. Lastly, what do we do for fun? This is our idea of fun. No, we do other stuff as well. Team building, as I mentioned. We do that all the time. Not all the time. We do it sometimes. We try to do it more often. Great opportunity, of course, to blow off some steam, maybe on your boss. Don't know. This bar that we're in is, of course, the center of a lot of attention. We've done a lot of fun stuff here. This was in preparation for a big party that we did a couple of years back, which is always fun. We've had after skis here. We've had after works here, of course. Does anybody remember this one? No, you don't know what that is, of course. But does anybody remember Harlem Shake? It was a really, really popular, but really, really short-lived internet meme. And we actually timed that perfectly. Don't know why, but we just did. This is how that looked. Yeah. That was fun. That was really fun. It's actually the first time we're showing it. We didn't have the guts to publish it. But it's out there. We did it. Chili nights, poker nights, whatever have you nights, we've done them all, and we're going to continue doing them. Christmas party coming up, really soon. Of course, there's always somebody on call, so the computer gets pulled up every year. Right, I'm going to sum this up, and I hope that this is all giving you a better picture of who we are, what we do, how fun we are, how fun we try to be. I'm just going to finish with this one. This is a normal day for the average City Network employee, and it's portrayed by the marketing team, so that's important to say. It's called Work Hard, Play Hard, and a disclaimer here, all scenes in this short documentary were staged for dramatic effect. Right. Thank you.